You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets.
All right, you're on The Arms Room with Glenn.
And John.
I have no snare in my headphones, Adam.
No cowbell.
No cowbell. All right. You know what's funny is we were talking about why do we wear headphones in the studio? We were talking about that like last week or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the point? We can hear each other talk.
We look cool.
I just like to hear my own voice in my head.
Oh,
there
now
it is.
I can hear it. Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
That's much better.
Thank you, Adam. So great to have you back there still, Adam.
Listen, it's great to be here, guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. I mean, I know I don't say that enough. I appreciate you guys being in here every Monday doing your show. And if we're not here out on location, because the AR 500 indoor range thing was, I'm not going to lie, that was pretty damn cool.
How freaking cool was that? We had a great time.
Oh,
Yeah, that was good. That was fun.
That was totally awesome. Man, I was just going to make fun of Adam for his new boyfriend, but now
Well,
I don't want to call it out on the air.
Wait, what?
You know, you showed us those pictures, right?
Oh, yeah. I know.
But now I don't want to make fun of him for it because
Hey,
it was so
where's our
nice.
monitor?
I took it down
Why?
Oh, yeah.
because we weren't using it.
You used to have absolutely nothing on there for us to look at. Why
I know.
would you take it out?
I'll put it back.
All right. I'm just kidding about Adam's new boyfriend. He doesn't have a new boyfriend.
He's a fine-looking gentleman.
He's got a new girlfriend.
I do. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, ladies, you missed the boat.
Dang it. Girls, the competition was fierce, but
Hearts
in the end,
are
there could be only
breaking
one.
all over the world right now.
Oh, my goodness. And on that note, and on the note of how much fun we had last week, we want to mention, of course, that today's show is brought to you by AR 500 Armor. A lot of cool things going on over there. Independence Training just had another video released with them last week. Getting into different shooting positions while wearing your armor, which is important. You know, it's important to know what positions you can and cannot get into, and effectively then, of course, get your hits. And we've got a new video coming out with them here in the next week or two, where we're going to be doing some moving and shooting, some running, some getting behind cover, things like that. Again, more not necessarily to demonstrate tactics and techniques or anything like that, but just to get more into moving a lot and getting in different positions and shooting. And just encourage people, if you're going to buy armor, you have to train with it. You have to practice with it. You can't just throw it on and say, that's going to be good to go.
Oh, I have armor.
Yeah, so check out that video at the AR 500 Armor Facebook page or their YouTube page or the YouTube page of Independence Training.
Wow.
So very cool video out with them. We always love working with them. You know, if you missed last week's show, you got to check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was awesome. We were on location at AR 500 shooting body armor at 5 meters, just hit it with some 45, hit it with 5.56, hit it with some 308 AP.
Yes.
Stopped everything like it was no big deal. So check it out. All right, very
Extremely
cool
impressive.
Awesome stuff. All right. John, what the heck's going on, man?
Not much. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? AR 500 Armor released they had placed an order for my company's rifle slings, the red wire convertible sling, and they finally released them for sale. So if you need one and you can't get in contact with me, get a hold of those guys. They can hook you up. Saturday, we had a lovely long day together.
We did have a long day together.
Wet, cold, hot, wet, cold.
Are you liking the way this sounds, Adam?
Hot. It was amazing.
I'm not going to lie. It sounds pretty dirty right now.
There was mud everywhere.
It was. So what we're looking at is our defensive handgun class.
Yeah, it was good.
From Independence Training, and it went from defensive handgun into low light, no light. It rained on and off throughout the day. A couple times we had some pretty serious downpours. A couple times it was just kind of light mist. I love that stuff, so whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a long day, 14 hours on the range with the students.
Ooh.
Good times. Good
I had
times.
my day was 22 hours long.
Everyone had a great experience. And I'll tell you, the biggest things that we take away from classes like that are the ability to take what people learn, I'll call it in the box or on the range, right? When people learn in the box, and at the end of all of our classes, we always take them out of the box and put them into a real world scenario that we make as realistic as possible. And they have to apply critical thinking skills, because learning a physical skill set in the box is one thing. Applying it to your life is an entirely different
Shooting
thing.
is easy. Applying shooting in your life, if you ever have to, is not.
And what you'll find a lot is, this thing is an example. Adam, you want to say something?
Yeah, I got a quick question. John, I want to piggyback off of what you just said. When you said that shooting in a real life situation is not, can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
I mean, okay, so shooting on the range is easy. You go, you put your bullets in your gun, you line up your sights, you press your trigger, you hit your paper target, you blow a big ragged hole in it. Yay! That's easy. It's 2:00 in the morning. You've got a screaming baby in the backseat because you're on your way to the hospital. Something happens. You get involved in a real life altercation. Well, now, if you have to shoot, it's dark, it's cold, it's wet. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's other people there. That's not easy. You have to be able to think through those scenarios. One, what did I do to get to this situation? What happened? Two, how could I have avoided this? And three, am I actually going to employ this firearm, or am I going to rely on other skills?
And what John's talking about is basically how we set up our end of class scenarios. In any class we teach, handgun, shotgun, carbine, whatever, even precision rifle, everything we teach, our emergency medical classes, everything always comes with an end of class scenario that students have to go through. And it's usually, pretty quick, pretty short, but it forces them to take the skill sets that they've learned in class and apply them to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in this example, we did one at the end of the defensive handgun class, and then everyone broke for dinner, came back. Most of them came back for the low light, no light portion, and we did another scenario at the end of that. And in the low light, no light scenario, as an example, we set them up to where they were walking into an as of yet unused location on the range. They hadn't been there before, and there were some targets set up simulating a parking lot situation where what they were doing was basically leaving a shopping center. And they were only given parameters as far as like where buildings were and vehicles and stuff like that. And then they had to walk across the parking lot and get to their car. And there were a series of these very realistic 3D targets we use from our friends up at Precision 3D Targets. And we dress them up in clothes. They have arms. We put things in their hands. They're very realistic looking targets.
It's actually really creepy when you forget that they're over there and you walk back around the berm and you're like, oh!
When I was setting them up in the dark, I turned around and I just put it there, and I'm dressing up one of the other ones. I turned around, that thing scared the hell out of me, man.
Like, oh God, what are you doing here?
They are incredibly realistic sometimes, especially when it's dark. But these students have to walk into this area, and all we tell them is what, like a normal real world thing. Okay, all you got to do is you got to get to your car in the parking lot.
Yep.
And out of 14 students, I think, that ran through that, we didn't see one scenario run exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who had just spent the last 13 hours training together with the same skill sets but different life
Mm-hmm.
experiences. We had some active duty law enforcement there. We had some retired law enforcement. We had a whole bunch of civilians, had a few veterans, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of mix in this class. And not one person ran it the same way. I mean, some people, we had just got done with a 3-hour block on using your defensive light, and some people didn't even turn on their light walking through them. Some people shot the innocent. Some people shot at everything that was out there. Some people properly identified. And the whole trick was there was no threat. There was absolutely no threat. There was nothing there that needed to be shot. And they would have found that out had they actually identified. Some guys didn't identify. They just saw targets and shot. Some guys think they saw something that they didn't actually see because it was dark and they were using their light. So it's really cool because we get to put people in these situations. And of course, we use the lessons that we learn to kind of debrief a team and say, all right, what did we learn from this? Is there ever a situation where somebody might have a gun in their hand and it might be a benign situation, a non-threat? Here's a guy with a gun hanging down at his side, and is that a lethal force encounter? Just because you walked out of a shopping mall and saw that. Any number of things could be happening. It could be an off-duty police officer or a plainclothes police officer responding to something. Could be someone who just literally got involved in self-defense and hasn't put their gun away, and you just happen to walk into it right after it happened. There are benign situations where someone might have a firearm, and you just drawing your firearm, and certainly drawing your firearm and engaging, would be just make that whole situation even worse. And so the two things that there was a lot that went on there. We don't have time to talk about all of it, but The two things that we really kind of brought home to the students was, one, and this is to quote our friend Craig Douglas, if your situation, whatever you just got involved in, was played back as a black and white security footage camera from a single angle with no audio, how would it have looked?
Yep.
And two, out of the three, I won't call them targets, out of the three people, simulated people that we put on the range in this scenario, two of them were absolutely no threat.
Right.
One of them could have possibly maybe been a threat. Let's say you had engaged, you stepped out of the shopping mall, you saw these three guys, you saw the guy with the gun, and you opened fire on him. No student said a word. No student verbally challenged anybody. No student tried to go around the situation. They saw the guy with the gun, they engaged him. And it is, kind of a shooting class, so it's fair, to allow that to happen, so to speak. But what is the story that those other two people would have told? How did that quote unquote self-defense situation go down? Hey, we're walking through the parking lot and we did it.
Some crazy guy. Some crazy guy just comes out of the door and starts shooting people. Oh my God, it was insane.
And so, it's kind of an interesting scenario to watch people go through, critical thinking. It's absolutely important. We always say we don't teach shooting classes. We teach lifestyle classes or critical thinking classes. We make people think about the actions that they're going to take. We talk a lot about liability. We talk a lot about, applying your firearm as a citizen, right? Because we're not teaching a whole bunch of military high-speed overseas combat courses. That's not what we do. We're also not teaching a whole bunch of law enforcement tactics courses. That's also not what we do. We're teaching civilian shooting classes. How do you employ, carry, use your firearm as a civilian? When it's probably just going to be me, and it has to be practical, and I have to be right. That's the toughest thing that I think we cover in our programs is you have to be right. If you are wrong, this whole Colonel Cooper quote that gets abused all the time, the better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. You think that? If you really think that you would rather pull the trigger and be wrong and go ahead and just go through the court process, you've never seen a court process. You don't know how much it costs. You don't know that it's going to rip you and your family to shreds, that they're going to tear your life to shreds.
You're going to end up in a van down by the river if you don't end up in prison.
Everybody you know and love is going to be affected by this. You don't think everybody that George Zimmerman knows and loves is affected by his actions?
Yep.
His bank accounts. And now, as it turns out, maybe later that guy's is a little crazy as it's starting to look. But anyways, the point is that everything in your life is about to change, especially if you're wrong. It's going to change if you do it anyway. It's really going to drastically change forever if you're wrong. It's that whole idea of I'd rather be, judged by 12 and carried by 6 is
taken completely out of context.
Taken out of context. Totally taken out of context. So, if you want to learn more, research the actual quote by Colonel Cooper. I can't do it justice because I'm not Colonel Cooper. Research the quote and see what he actually meant by that.
The essence was, if you have to use it, don't be afraid to use it. Yeah. That's essentially what it boiled down to.
Yes, that is the essence of what he was talking about. Now, right now, what we're looking at is we're waiting for a call from our good friend Daryl over at SD Tactical Arms up in Wisconsin. We want to talk to him today about his suppressor parts and also his Weapons for Warriors program that we had an opportunity to witness.
Got a little misty
at SHOT Show.
A little misty.
So hopefully he'll be calling in soon. We've got to we'll check on that. But anyways, basically, what happened up or I should say, what happened with his Weapons for Warriors program.
Do we want to take a break real quick then?
Do we
in case he when he does call, we can transition right into that conversation?
No, because I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
no big deal. So what we saw at SHOT Show, and I'll just kind of tell this story so that while we're waiting for Daryl to call in, we can go over kind of how cool of a guy he is. So he's got this program, Weapons for Warriors, where through a various number of people, including the Chris Kyle's family, and some other really great groups, he builds weapons for wounded warriors, mostly AR platforms. And so we met with him at SHOT Show, and we were kind of talking to him about his whole program. And he said, well, hey, you guys got to come back tomorrow because I'm going to be giving away a really cool rifle, very awesome custom rifle. And I'm going to post a picture on our Facebook page during the first break. I'll post it up on the Arms Room Facebook page of Daryl giving this rifle to Brian. And you'll see all of them as well as, excuse me, the picture of the rifle. And then there's a video that's on SD Tactical Arms website that actually has John and myself and a couple other guys in it. And I'll post that up on the Arms Room Facebook page as well, because you'll actually be able to see on a video Daryl giving this rifle. And essentially Brian, and I'm probably going to screw up saying his last name, but
I think it's Colfage.
I think it is Colfage. Kolfage. But Brian Colfage, senior airman, Brian Colfage, is the most wounded service member in the global war on terrorism that that survived. Triple amputee. He's got several prosthetics, and basically Daryl paid for him to get in a SHOT Show under the SD Tactical Arms logo, or a banner, I mean, and kind of surprised him, just like, hey, come visit us, we'll hang out, whatever. Surprised him with this rifle.
Sweet rifle.
Totally awesome rifle. And, there was a whole bunch of pipe hitting dudes standing around watching this happen. There was some Silver Star recipients there, some Green Berets, Scout Sniper dudes, some couple PJs were there. There was several very cool people standing around watching this happen. And I tell you what, man, when this was going on, it got a little dusty around there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think everybody was feeling it. Something happened, the ventilation, and
that's it. Yeah, that was
pumping dust into the room. And I think everybody pretty much there was was feeling it. And what's cool about that is that, Daryl does everything, from what I'd seen at least, very humbly.
Oh, yeah.
And with so much respect, he gave this rifle. I mean, it's not like so many of these other programs where it's like, XYZ rifle company is giving away a rifle to a veteran. Everybody, look at us. Everyone, look at us. We're doing this. We're doing this thing for a veteran. Look at what we're doing for a veteran, Instead, Daryl made not a big deal out of it. He just invited some people, that he knew that would appreciate it. And most of like I said, most of the people standing around while this was happening was either people that Daryl had invited to observe it, or people that had just been in the area and saw that something was going on, which is often at SHOT Show, people kind of gather around.
I think we pretty much owned that aisle for a while.
For that 20 or 30 minutes that whole thing was going on, that aisle was kind of ours. But, Daryl was very humble with so much respect. He gave this firearm, and he did this for several guys. In fact, he actually gave Chris Kyle before he was murdered, was also given a rifle by Weapons for Warriors. So, I mean, Daryl's done all kinds of cool stuff. Check out SD Tactical Arms' website. It's sdtacticalarms.com. Easy to find. They have their Weapons for Warriors link on there. There's several videos of other people he's given weapons to. He's just an all-around good guy. When he gets on the show, we're going to talk about his suppressor parts that he sells and how those can kind of, affect you. But we're going to take a break. I guess Adam's giving me the you should probably take a break sign. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to give Daryl a call, and we'll go from there. But we get back from the break. Hopefully, we're going to have Daryl on the line. You're listening to The Arms Room.
Would you like to own a thriving business and help employ local veterans? The Vetraplex Handyman Construction and Landscape business is the opportunity you've been waiting for. The Vetraplex is your gateway to an affordable startup business with 0% financing for qualifying owners. By owning a Vetraplex franchise, you will be hiring veterans, providing them both income and opportunity, while at the same time providing your customers a way to say, thank you for your service to our nation's veterans. For more information, visit vetraplex.org. Again, that's vetraplex.org, or call 928-284-2022.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
You are a professional. There's no second chances, no do-overs, no theme music. This isn't a movie or a video game. This is your life. Your life and the lives of those you swore to protect and serve depend on you staying in the fight. Get the best at what you do, and you deserve to wear the best. AR-500 armor is the right choice when lives matter and bullets count. AR-500 armor is 100% made in the USA. Their level 3 body armor starts at $65 and is stress fracture resistant. AR-500 armor offers a 20-year shelf life with unprecedented multi-hit capabilities. What does that mean to you? It means you're getting a top American-made product that could save your life at an affordable price. Take it from an infantryman and an Iraq-Afghanistan veteran. The last thing you need to worry about is if your body armor will last in a two-way live fire range. Visit AR-500 Armor today by going to AR500armor.com. Again, that's AR500armor.com. And don't forget to tell them that the Arms Room sent you.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, we're back on the Arms Room, and I don't think it's going to work out today, which is kind of disappointing.
Well,
But that's all right. We're going
sometimes life happens.
Life must have happened for Daryl today, I guess, and that's all right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about his Weapons for Warriors program, and we're also going to talk about his suppressor part.
Hey, it's a good opportunity to tell the story again for those that missed it about the Navy SEAL son.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, so first of all, I want to go back. Excuse me. I want to go back to the Weapons for Warriors thing, and then we'll talk about that because it was kind of funny while we were standing there. So Daryl Kress is the owner of ST Tactical Arms. He does some really cool custom rifles. But he also does this Weapons for Warriors program. And if you go to the Weapons for Warriors section of the sdtacticalarms.com website, you'll see his first rifle. I have to take back what I said earlier. It wasn't actually given to Chris Kyle. I apologize. It was given to John Wayne Walding, who was there at SD Tactical Arms booth this last year that we were there just a couple months ago. And John Wayne Walding's former Green Beret, Silver Star recipient, prosthetic leg, basically pretty hardcore individual involved in a pretty nasty firefight, caught a round to the knee, really blew up his leg pretty bad. And this is, that kind of guy. He takes his leg that's all mangled, lower leg, pulls it up to his upper leg, ties it off, and keeps fighting. Right? I mean, it's pretty hardcore stuff.
Throw me that roll of duct tape. I got to fix this.
Yeah, I got a leg blown off. I need to fix it real quick so I can keep killing people. Pretty impressive. So that was actually the first rifle that was given. There's a couple pictures on here of Daryl with Chris Kyle, and he also gave a rifle to Robert Nitzen, another AR-10, who Robert was credited for saving another Marine's life in Afghanistan. So he gave him a rifle for that. There's the further up. There's a picture of Chris Kyle with the rifle that Daryl did give him. And then this last year at SHOT Show, he gave it to Brandon Morocco and also Brian Colfidge. And we mentioned earlier, saw the Brian Colfidge giveaway, and it's pretty incredible, So I'm wearing the SD Tactical Arms shirt, which is America all over it.
Yeah,
right? Got the
cool
American
shirt.
flag on front with SD Tactical Arms. Got the Weapons for Warriors logo on one side. Got American flag on the other side. On the back has got their logo, or one of their sayings, I should say, not their logo, but one of their sayings that Daryl likes. And you have to read it, John.
Okay, all right. I can't remember it either. I've got the shirt too.
Right,
so on the back of the shirt, it says crawling is acceptable, falling is acceptable, puking is acceptable, blood is acceptable, pain is acceptable, quitting is not. I think I've done every one of those things at some point in my life in some type of physical situation.
So I've seen that, that saying before. Obviously, it's the kind of thing that Daryl has really taken to heart because, he takes these guys who didn't quit and didn't give up, and he, gives them something to commemorate that. I wouldn't say he rewards them or he is, giving them a gift because they served or anything like that. I would say more he's commemorating the struggles that they went through, in the way that he knows how. And he's an AR rifle builder, so he gives them these amazing, beautiful rifles that are custom, literally one-of-a-kind rifles with some pretty incredible things on them. So, just kind of, if you have an opportunity, go check out the Weapons for Warriors. So we're there. There's a whole bunch of us. Our whole SHOT Show team is there. There's like 5 or 6 of us standing there. And I saw this shirt on Daryl, and I said, I have to get one of those shirts, dude. I need one of those shirts. And he's like, well, hey, I'm selling them here at the booth. And I cover my costs, and $6 of every shirt sale, there were $20 shirts. He said $6 of every shirt sale goes to the Weapons for Warriors program. And so he pulls out the shirt box, and we're all rooting through it, trying to find our sizes, because there's a whole bunch of us and we're all different sizes. And so we're rooting through it, trying to find sizes. And this dude walks by, and we mentioned this in our SHOT Show report show, but it's worth mentioning again, as John said. This dude walks by, grabs a shirt, and says, hey, thanks, my son's a future Navy SEAL. And so Daryl, who's not a small man, I might add, he says to the guy, excuse me, sir, those shirts are for sale. And the guy says, he's like, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, they're $20, and $6 of every sale goes to my Weapons for Warriors program. So if I let you take the shirt for free, then that's taken from my Weapons for Warriors program, and I can't do that. And so the guy just like looks at him in disgust, tossed the shirt back on the table, and bolts. And was like, I
thought because my son was a future Navy SEAL, I could have anything I wanted.
So that became kind of our funny joke at the SHOT Show, was we'd walk up to a booth and pick up like a $3,000 rifle and be like, hey, thanks, my son's a future Navy SEAL, who's gonna walk off with this? So I mean, I guess it takes all kinds to make this world go around.
It does. It truly does.
So I want to talk a little bit about Brian Colfage, because he's got some cool stuff going on. First of all, he has his own website, and of course I just stinking lost it. Yeah, I know.
Good job, buddy.
So basically what happened with Brian was he was Air Force Security Forces, and he was coming back from a shift over in Afghanistan, I remember. I do not recall. I don't remember if it was Iraq or Afghanistan. I could look up the story, but it's not that important.
Somewhere not in America.
Somewhere terrible. All right. And just walking back to his hooch, and a mortar lands on him.
It was not a mortar.
I thought it was a rocket.
It's a rocket.
Okay, a rocket lands on him. All right. Too many Christmas, right? It's like shrapnel. Jesus. I can't say shrapnel. I can't say fragmentation.
Dude.
I always have to be super careful if I say like bomb. John's like, it wasn't a bomb.
Easy.
It was an explosive.
The EOD expert.
Oh, gosh, whatever. This thing. Okay, this thing
it
fell
was
out of the freaking sky and went boom.
It was a 107 millimeter rocket.
Okay, for all you technical nerds out there, there you go. All right.
Well, that kind of lends to the amount of explosives.
Okay. Look, it was a freaking big explosive.
Yes,
it was fell out of the
not
air.
A small amount of
fell
bang.
Out of the sky. All right. It hit Brian, Senior Airman Colfage, and blew off 2 legs, 1 arm, wounded him very badly. And he was still able to stay conscious, called out for, if I remember, like when his bunkmate or something like that came out, the whole thing went down, as it often does. But he survived it all, and now just lives his life trying to deal with, how he lives now. Yeah. And it's really cool. He's got a great attitude about it. WoundedAmericanWarrior.com.
There we go.
Is his website. WoundedAmericanWarrior.com. He's got all kinds of cool stories on there about the military, our country. He's got an interesting recent story about he was kind of talking some trash about the VA, and all of a sudden his VA benefits stopped rolling in.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And so now it's kind of a little bit of a conspiracy theory type thing going on of, oh, whoops, looks like there's a hiccup in your pay. So, you never really can tell with stuff like that. But check out these stories. I tell you what, I like reading Medal of Honor and Silver Star citations. I like reading about wounded warriors for a couple of reasons. One, because it helps me to remember how strong the human spirit is.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it helps me to remember just what cost so many put down to do what they felt was right. Forget military service, the American flag, and all that kind of stuff, right? This is what they felt was the right thing to do.
Yep.
You know, and they were willing to do it. They were willing to go to great sacrifice to do it. And for some of them, it cost them a lot. And for most of them, guys like Brian Colfidge, he's living a life with it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a prosthetic arm, 2 prosthetic legs, and he's living his life. You know, he's not letting it keep him down. And that's a sad thing we see so much. We still got that whole 22 veterans a day thing, you know, taking their lives. And we're trying to figure out, everyone is trying to figure out how to stop this. And so many of them, not even all of them are wounded on the outside. Some of them are just wounded on the inside. And so it's harder to see. And it's harder for us to assess that. You know, we see someone who's been wounded on the outside. It's easier for us to talk to them about it. It's easy for them to, you know, to obviously everyone sees what's going on. But for someone who's wounded on the inside, it's not as easy. And we can't forget those wounded warriors either. You know, too often I think we focus too much on the wounded warriors who are missing limbs or who've been hurt physically.
Or you focus too much on PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it is a problem, but not all of us that went through bad situations come back and develop PTSD.
Right.
You know, some of us, we were damaged at this point in our lives, and we've talked about this before on the show.
Right.
You know, I mean, we all have things. Perfect example this weekend at the handgun class. There was some people doing some stuff in the other bay, and all of a sudden, at some point, they were shooting some tannerite, and it
blew up a big charge.
Yeah, rather large charge for where we were at, and both Brian and I kind of had to catch our breath for a minute.
Brian
because
pooped a little.
He did. I think he may have actually pooped a little bit, but you know, it's those things. And no, I do not suffer from PTSD, but there are still things, and I still have other issues related to my deployments and the time away from my family and the things I've seen and the things I've done. So, and it's not just that there's a medical name for the problem or anything like that. It's that anybody that's gone out and been away and done things, you know, they're going to come back and there's going to be those issues. There's going to be sleepless nights. There's going to be this, there's going to be that, you know. If you meet a veteran, a lot of times people are like, "Oh, thank you for your service." And then they just yeah, it's always very awkward, you know. They just, "Hi, thanks." And you're like, sure. You know, I mean, I've never known what to say appropriately. So, but take a chance if you meet a veteran or you know a veteran, take a chance and just sit down and talk with them. You know, don't go digging. Well, was it like Call of Duty, man? Just sit down and have a normal conversation.
Just have conversations with them. You know, part of the biggest problem that we see most veterans who are coming back is not that they're all freaked out or that they're all worried about killing people or seeing people killed or anything like that. Because remember, not everyone who went overseas is some face shooting body slayer.
Nope.
You know what I mean? That's a small percentage of people who actually saw that kind of stuff go down. Most people went overseas, they did their job, they came home.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was tough, as you said, because they were away from home and they, you know, did have to deal with some stresses of life, financial things and all that. But not everyone who went over there was some body slayer, right? So sometimes it's not that kind of PTSD that we're dealing with veterans who are coming home. It's just
it's hard to relate,
them.
dude.
It's reintegrating these individuals back into our society. It's the biggest problem we see when we always kind of say, like, veterans all kind of tend to kind of group together, regardless of background or experience. Like the guys you wouldn't have hung around in the service, we're hanging out with now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, when you look at all the different, you know, units and MOSs and branches and everything that even our friends all come from, it's like in the service, none of us probably would have hung out together. Right.
Yeah, probably not.
But
because everybody in the service kind of sticks to their own
little group.
You hung out with the aircrew guys. I hang out with the OD guys and some of the other people that we work with. And then, you know, I mean, obviously Brian's hanging out with all the grunts and some of the other groups they work with on a regular basis and so on and so forth. So,
yeah. So everyone's going to hang out with their own people.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, the whole trick is this. It's once everyone comes back, now they're trying to figure out, well, now who do I hang out with? Because the people that I used to hang out with in high school or college or family or whatever.
There's no way to relate to these people now.
like we always joke about how silly sometimes people get confused, or uppity up about stuff. And it's not that veterans aren't getting dramatic about their favorite TV show or whatever, but there's so much that I think the average person who spent any time in the armed services is just like, why do you care about that?
But there's too much mayonnaise on this cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Yeah, you're like,
really, bro?
At least it's a cheeseburger.
You got mayonnaise, don't you? Just shut up and eat it.
So I think that as we have people who are coming back and trying to reintegrate into society, that's where, whether you have served or not, that's where you can help out.
Yeah, because it's not easy, man.
That's where you can help out. Just find out how you can help them. Take them out, hang out with them, take them out shooting, hiking, hunting, fishing, bowling, golfing, whatever the heck it is you do. Just hang out with them. Let them know
I'm willing to bet that if
friends.
You offer to buy 95% of us a beer, we'll have a fantastically good time and become friends.
The whole thanks for your service, and I want to spend a lot of time recognizing that and everything. Most guys want to just leave that behind.
Yep.
Most guys just they're done with that. It was a part of their life. It's time to move on. Move on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't want to sit there and focus on that. They want to be back in society again. They want
to make an attempt at being normal again.
Right. So when you see programs like Daryl's Weapons for Warriors program, that's where you can get involved.
Yep.
Buy a shirt. $6 goes to the Weapons for Warriors program.
And it's a cool shirt.
It's a cool shirt. You can wear it around with some pride. It looks cool. And you know that you've supported a project that's actually helping people. In the age of so many quote unquote veterans programs or foundations or fundraisers or anything else, they're so full of crap and don't put any money actually towards the veterans that they're supposedly helping, or very little money back to those veterans. Daryl is not doing that. He is putting this money back to the veterans, and he's recognizing, again, he's not thanking them for their service or saying, oh my gosh, you went through something terrible, so I need to give you some kind of gift. He's just recognizing the sacrifice that they made and the struggles that they're going through and saying, let me be a friend to you.
Yep.
So in my opinion, it's a worthwhile cause. You got to check it out. Now, the other cool thing that he does is he makes, and this is something to check out, and I really wanted his input better on it because I only know a little bit about it. Unfortunately, wasn't able to call in today, but his suppressor parts. On the SD Tactical Arms website, you can find their suppressor parts, which are, or they call them solvent traps, right? And they have solvent trap tubes and the appropriately sized and threaded end caps and freeze plugs, which are essentially baffles for the suppressor. Now, Daryl at SD Tactical Arms is not selling suppressors. He's not selling suppressor kits. That is not what this is. He's selling parts. And you can, as the end user, purchase the appropriate parts, manufacture legally your own suppressor with a Form 1 through the ATF, $200 tax stamp, manufacture your own suppressor. Are these top-of-the-line suppressors like from AAC or Silencer Co. or Gemtech or whatever? No, they're not. But do they get the job done? Yes. Again, check out the products. They're pretty cool. I've seen one in action. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And he makes they're threaded for I think
what is it, 5/8 by 24.
I think
there's
so.
like two super common ones, and then
he's also got a brake, and he's got some that are quick detach.
Yeah.
So or quick attach as the case may be. So he's got a brake as well. So you can quick detach kind of thing. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do through the SD Tactical Arms program. A, the solvent traps and tubes, and B, the Weapons for Warriors program.
Absolutely.
And they're great people to deal with. And Daryl himself is a veteran.
Yes.
So more than worthwhile to check out that program. All right, we're going to take our second and final break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk, kind of keep on this subject. We're going to talk about something a little bit different. So you are listening to the Arms Room.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce. I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
Would you like to own a thriving business and help employ local veterans? The Vetraplex Handyman Construction and Landscape business is the opportunity you've been waiting for. The Vetraplex is your gateway to an affordable startup business with 0% financing for qualifying owners. By owning a Vetraplex franchise, you will be hiring veterans, providing them both income and opportunity, while at the same time providing your customers a way to say, thank you for your service to our nation's veterans. For more information, visit vetraplex.org. Again, that's vetraplex.org or call 928-284-2022.
You are a professional. There's no second chances, no do-overs, no theme music. This isn't a movie or a video game. This is your life. Your life and the lives of those you swore to protect and serve depend on you staying in the fight. You're the best at what you do, and you deserve to wear the best. AR-500 Armor is the right choice when lives matter and bullets count. AR-500 Armor is 100% made in the USA. Their Level 3 body armor starts at $65 and is stress fracture resistant. AR-500 Armor offers a 20-year shelf life with unprecedented multi-hit capabilities. What does that mean to you? It means you're getting a top American-made product that could save your life at an affordable price. Take it from an infantryman and an Iraq-Afghanistan veteran. The last thing you need to worry about is if your body armor will last in a two-way live fire range. Visit AR-500 Armor today by going to AR500Armor.com. Again, that's AR500Armor.com. And don't forget to tell them that the Arms Room sent you.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, you're back on the Arms Room. Today, we've been talking about SD Tactical Arms out of Wisconsin, run by a great man named Daryl Kress, who was supposed to call in today, but unfortunately hasn't been able to make that happen. So we've been talking about his Weapons for Warriors program and all the people that he's reached out to through that, and kind of how all of us can help veterans reintegrate back into society and just be normal again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And even though they never really will be the same,
no.
we can help them be, fit back in, so to speak. So part of that's the Weapons for Warriors program that Daryl does. You can help that by going to the sdtacticalarms.com website, hit Weapons for Warriors. It's right up there on the top, and you can buy one of their awesome shirts that I'm wearing today.
I'm so glad I didn't wear mine today.
We could have been twins, dude. That'd have been awesome. I would obviously have been the better looking twin.
No.
But
No.
And we also talked a little bit about, which, you can research more on the website. I'm not going to try to describe it too much because I don't think I can do it justice.
Yeah.
And that is the solvent trap tubes, end caps, and freeze plugs, where you can basically manufacture your own solvent trap and or sound suppressor. But you have to manufacture your own legally with a Form 1 through the ATF. Which
So let's say that one more time. Legally.
Daryl
with
is not
a Form 1 to the ATF.
$200 tax stamp. Daryl is not selling suppressors, nor is he selling suppressor kits.
Nope.
He is just selling some parts for you to make your own solvent trap. If you decide to turn that solvent trap into a suppressor,
That's
you
totally on you.
must
Do it legally.
do it legally. All right. But check it out on the website. It's pretty cool. He's got some really cool stuff on there. So also a good idea to check out Brian Colfidge's website, which is woundedamericanwarrior.com. So check that out too. He's got some pretty good information on there. He's kind of right now on this love-hate thing. People love him or they hate him because he is pretty far extreme right. But his website has some good info on it. Go there, check it out. It's at the point in our country, ladies and gentlemen, where you pretty much have to pick sides.
Yep.
No more fence sitting. There hasn't been for a while now. Please stop sitting the fence. Decide where you stand. All right. Stand where you want. I don't care where you stand.
Just make a decision and stand.
Decide. All right.
Because if you don't, you're going to get run over by both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Just pick a spot. Pick a stand.
Your fence is going to be torn down and you will fall.
So, you all right there?
What'd you do?
Easy, fellas.
Sorry, that was a rookie move. My bad.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Oh,
You
Just little
Oh, okay. You're
little tang tang tang. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Adam,
Shoot that guy.
I got a text message. I was getting excited. I don't know. It's just, whatever.
good grief.
Oh my goodness.
Having a child.
No
Where's
idea.
Mason?
Yeah, where's Mason? Where's our
come
grown up?
back? All right. So what I want to talk about is I want to go back to what we were first talking about at the beginning of the show. We've talked about SD Tactical Arms' deal. I want to talk a little bit more and kind of lead into next week's show.
Okay.
Right? Next week's show is going to be about cultivating the learning mindset, or the specialization is for insects quote from Robert Heinlein. All right. And so we're going to talk more about that next week. But I want to kind of lead into that, going back to what we initially started talking about on the show, which was our class this weekend and the situations and scenarios that we put people in,
Right.
and how we make them take what they've learned and apply it in the real world. And so, one of the ways that we start out with our classes, typically, especially our defensive level classes, and like the way I started out this weekend, is we start out a class with a group full of people who have just paid to come and train with us by telling them that the training that they're about to take is
really not all that necessary.
Really
in the
not
grand scheme
that
of things.
necessary, and so what we talk about is like how I started out the class on Saturday is, hey, you realize you have a better chance of drowning than you do of using your firearm in self-defense, right? In America, you have a better chance of drowning than you do using your firearm in self-defense. So then we ask them, okay, so if you know that, what have you done to prevent or reduce the risk of you drowning? And so the three most common answers for this are, okay, avoid
Stay
the water.
away from water.
Good.
Learn
call.
to swim.
Good call. Learn to swim, all right? Or life vest,
Life
right?
vests.
Lifesaver, life vest, life jacket, whatever, right? Something.
Carry a raft in your pocket.
Something
there's your idea again. And it's raining again out here.
Something that's going to keep you afloat, right?
Yes.
And so then we kind of apply that same thing to defensive techniques. And that is, okay, so avoid the water. Good. Avoidance and deterrence are always the best alternative to lethal force. And most situations that you're going to find yourself in could have been likely avoided or deterred had you, A, been paying attention, B, been acting appropriately, or C, maybe, as John Farnham likes to say, not gone and done dumb things with dumb people in dumb places, right? So, avoid the water, all right? So, or we can learn to swim. So we can learn how to defend ourselves. And that doesn't always mean with a gun, right? We can just learn how to take care of our life, right? We can learn how to be prepared for emergencies in general. This last week, we had a thing up in northern Arizona where some communication lines got cut. A lot of people's internet, cell phones, and stuff like that went down. There's all kind of conspiracy theories about it. All that aside.
I was very angry about my internet not working.
So all that aside about all the craziness that may or may not have happened, the point was a lot of people were wholly unprepared for that. They had no way to communicate with each other. They had no way to get their business. Businesses just shut down. All kinds of crazy stuff happened. And if it affected you that much, well, then you need to learn from that and say, okay, well, then I need to learn how to swim should that kind of thing happen before. Because we couldn't avoid the water in that circumstance, so now we have to learn how to swim.
Yep.
So how am I going to communicate with people? How am I going to continue on with business? How am I going to continue on with my personal life if I can't make a phone call or use the internet? All right. Or, of course, we can buy a life vest and use it and still learn how to use it appropriately. Because in the regard of learning to swim, if you have a life vest but you don't wear it, you will still drown, right?
Yes.
You can have
you will.
all the life vests in the world. You can spend like, I don't know, let's say $2,000 or plus on your life vest. Okay. And if you keep it in your life vest safe, all right, it's not going to do you any bit of good if you actually need the life vest.
Oh,
right?
well, if I need it, I'll have it.
Right.
I bought it. It's a cool widget.
It's really cool.
Holds my beer.
Similarly,
I'm not sure that swimming and drinking go together all that well.
Tell you what, it's like you get warm because you're drinking. That water feels real good, cools you off.
Only a Wisconsin guy could say that.
I guess. I don't know.
Drink Wisconsinly.
So,
but thank you.
So on that same thing is, if I have my life vest, but I don't know how to put it on, I don't know how to use it or anything, I don't know how to deploy this life vest, it's also not going to do me any good, right? So we avoid the water, we learn how to swim, we buy the appropriate equipment, life vest, life, preserver, whatever, and we actually learn how to use
arm
it effectively.
Floaties.
So that's part one that we kind of talk about is, all right, sometimes avoiding the water is best, but sometimes we can't. So now we have to learn how to swim or use the appropriate tools. So then we start telling them, okay, so now we've kind of covered why we're doing this. All right. Even though most of us probably aren't going to drown and most of us probably aren't going to use our firearm for self-defense. This is why we still train that way. All right, cool. So now let's talk about the fact that in most situations, neither skill nor equipment have anything to do with the outcome of civilian self-defense shootings. All right. Neither skill nor equipment, meaning the person doing the defending typically is not that well trained, and their training of whatever cool high-speed stuff they learned has little to no effect on the outcome. And the equipment that they chose, whether it's a Jennings 22 or a high point, a Nighthawk custom 1911 or a High Point or a Glock or whatever the heck it is that they chose. All right. Most of the time that has little or nothing to do with the outcome.
How dare you speak blasphemy?
I know, right? So all this money that people spend on self-defense equipment and shooting and training and all that, really, in the grand scheme of things, the majority of the time has little to nothing to do with the outcome of the event. So why do we do it? And we ask our students these questions because it's like, why are you here? If you can't critically think to the point of understanding why you just dropped $200 to $300 on a class and a few $100s or whatever on ammunition, and that you're willing to spend all this time in the day doing it, why are you here? If it's just to have a good time and have a great experience, great. I got no problem with that.
Nope.
If it's to learn how to defend yourself, great. But why don't you figure out why you're actually here? And I'll tell you what, we get a lot of blank stares from students. When we start asking them, okay, so now that you know this, now that you know these things, why are you here? And they go, well, and so we do get some good answers. And some people, we have to give them a couple minutes to really do some soul searching real quick and figure out, why in the heck am I actually here today?
Yep.
Why do I really want to learn this skill? Why am I really spending all the time, effort, and energy? Again, if it's just there, hey, I want to shoot. I like shooting with cool people and I want to learn some cool new skills and it's just recreational for me, great. Rock on. But when we ask, typically before introduction, we'll say, okay, so who here carries a firearm? In this case, a handgun, because it was a handgun class. Who carries a handgun every single day of your life, professionally or not, doesn't matter who carries. And the majority of class raises their hand. It's like, all right, so if the majority of you carry a firearm every single day, how much thought have you put into why you do it? It's not the most convenient thing to do.
No, it's actually rather inconvenient.
It's kind of an inconvenience sometimes, So if you're going to do this, you've really got to think about it. And why do you spend all this time, effort, and energy? Because in that 1% chance that you actually do have to use it, that you've surpassed the chance that drowning is going to kill you, and you do find yourself in a fight for your life against a or multiple human opponents, and your skill and your equipment are going to be needed because there are more than one guy, or the mere presence of a firearm wasn't enough, or shooting a guy wasn't enough. And now, your equipment and your skill are going to have an effect on the outcome. All right. It's that thing that we train for.
Yep.
It's that time.
1%. That's the same reason it's the same reason you have car insurance, in my opinion. The odds of me becoming involved in a car accident are relatively slim, higher than some, lower than others. But I still have to have car insurance every month, and I choose to have car insurance every month in case that does happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah,
it's the same idea. It's fire extinguisher. We've often said it's like fire extinguisher, first aid kit, car insurance, whatever. You don't hope to get in an accident. You don't hope to have to put out a fire. You don't hope to have to bandage somebody up. But we carry them anyways because we understand that we can't always avoid the water. We understand we do have to learn how to swim, and then we also have to learn how to use appropriately a life vest and how it works and what it can and also cannot do. A life vest will not always save your life. There are things where you will still drown and die wearing a life vest. There are conditions where you must know how to swim even if you have a life vest.
This is true.
You know, so to relate that to self-defense, just because you have a gun does not freaking mean that you know how to swim.
That is true.
All right. Sometimes just the mere presence of that life vest may be enough to keep you afloat, right? But there are those times where it's not going to keep you afloat. And that gale wind, or, you know, and that hurricane and that terrible upset sea and that rip current situation, you're still going to die if you do not know how to swim.
That's why I don't go in the water.
You know, you avoid the water, but you can't avoid the water forever, John. Right?
Well, yeah. if we're speaking metaphorically, you are correct. I can't avoid the water forever.
You got a life vest, but he's also got his floaties.
He does have floaties.
Heck yeah, man.
He's naturally buoyant too, which is also beneficial.
Like a bobber.
Yeah, but I bob upside down. It's weird. Only my feet stick out of the water. I turn upside down. It's totally strange.
So that's just kind of one of the things that we really like to cover in our training, regardless of the class that we're teaching. And something that we all need to really, kind of think about is whatever it is that I'm learning, how am I applying it to my life, right? Not just in this box and
how am I learning it though? That's another big thing, is because everybody, let me find the right way to do this. Going to EOD school, right? This is a very long, very technical school. There's a lot of information that gets shoved down your throat. Not everybody learns through death by PowerPoint. Now, there are those that learn through death by PowerPoint. So to tie this into next week a little bit more, some of us have to learn the hard way, which is by doing, right? So there's thankfully a good mix of that at EOD school so that everyone has the opportunity to do that. And as an adult, you have to figure out how you learn best. Do you learn best by reading a book, then going out and maybe practicing that skill that you just read that book about? Do you learn best by someone showing you that? Or do you learn best by just grabbing all your stuff, going out and doing it? So that's one of the things you have to think about, in my opinion, as an adult, when you're going and trying to learn any type of new skill, whether it's coming out and you're new to firearms, or learning how to start a fire, or learning how to change the spark plugs in your car. I mean, you have to figure out how you are best going to be able to learn and internalize that skill.
And so we'll talk more about learning styles and how to cultivate the learning lifestyle, which is something that I can pretty proudly say I think I've done pretty well over the last, few years especially. And we'll be talking about that next week on the show. We missed Daryl today. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to call in, but please still go check out sdtacticalarms.com so you can check out that company. You can see their solvent traps, which can be manufactured into suppressors legally with a Form 1 through the ATF. Please also go to their Weapons for Warriors section of their website. Buy one of their Weapons for Warriors shirts that is just really a SD tactical shirt. It's got a cool saying and quote on the back. You can wear it around with a little bit of pride. Daryl's a great guy. He is putting this towards our veterans. The proof's in the pudding, man. The guy has done it. He has actually done, on his own time, with his own money, with his own energy, he's done this. So make sure you check out our sponsors and advertisers, AR500 Armor. All kinds of cool new products. They're now carrying red wire gear slings. Woo! We've got a couple cool new videos with them. Been posted recently, and more stuff coming up. And looking forward to this weekend where Madison Rising is coming to town, and we're going to be attending a concert for Madison Rising. Looking forward to it because, of course, if you don't know, the song that's playing right now, done by Madison Rising. Awesome album called American Hero. You need to check it out. It's the music I listen to most of the time when I'm in my office.
Nice.
So until next week, stay aware, stay safe, and train hard. You've been listening to The Arms Room.
Thank you. Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the U.S. of A.